Right now at 11, the showdown continues at Duke University. Good evening. I'm Sharon Tazewell. CBS North Carolina met with his parents today, and we start this amazing story with remarkable video of when his mother found out he was getting a new heart. The final two candidates for Durham police chief answered questions from the public tonight. Now the big topics: body cameras and racial bias. We had days of different protests happening, and again, this started about noontime, where there was word on social media that the KKK may be coming downtown Durham. Definitely a big talker there. And Bob, a big issue for Hillary Clinton with a lot of voters seems to be trust. Do you think the first 2.5 days of this convention have done much to change that? Mayor Bell, please stay on the phone with us just a moment. We're looking here at the police who are in the riot gear. It looks like they are starting to walk away now. They are no longer in that straight line. She says the hands of the doctors definitely helped perform what she's calling a miracle for her son, and she's forever grateful to God and to these doctors as well. Sean, one of the topics they talked about was immigration. Yes. And something you saw really lighting up on social media here from the Raleigh area was when Trump talked about getting rid of undocumented immigrants, and he called them bad hombres. Yeah, and that's something that hit a mark with people.
It did.
I mean, these are so dark. I'm looking at the bright light, and I can just see a little tiny light, but that's it. And it's the moments that the normal world stops. A child goes missing and the dread for parents begins. The numbers are simply staggering. Last year, the FBI says nearly 470,000 children went missing. And in North Carolina, at least 51 children are missing, 18 right here in our viewing area. We're following breaking news off the top tonight. Overseas, firefighters in Dubai able to contain a fire at one of the tallest buildings in the world. Imagine looking into the mirror and realizing you're aging at a lot quicker pace than your peers. Then in your 20s, you begin seeing similar physical ailments as your grandparents. Well, it's happening to a Durham man. He can't stop the aging process, but he's not letting it stop him from living. I sat down with him. Here's his story. We have not seen the dash cam video or the body cam video. That is being asked to be released as of right now. Again, this is video that was shot by Keith Scott's wife, watching the whole incident unfold. Just a heartbreaking and very difficult video to watch. Well, North Carolina lawmakers moved our primary up to March this year, all in an effort to make North Carolina more important. Do you think they achieved their goal by doing so?
I'm at the 70th Tony Awards here in New York, and Hamilton is really the big talk right now because they have 16 nominations. And look what I found, a hula hoop. I haven't done this since I was a kid, and actually my news director, I think, got these.
I know they say they're heading towards the police department. Once they get there, what are their intentions? You're listening to Governor Pat McCrory, who was speaking at the Emergency Operations Center about the impacts of Hurricane Matthew here on our state. He's saying stay off the roads. We have deadly conditions from Raleigh east. You had that long-standing feud with Catherine Chancellor for a long time too. Yeah. I mean, that was ongoing for years.
Yes, that was so much fun.
This is video from Durham. You can see people doing what they are not supposed to do and driving through standing water.
5 ladies together. That could be a chemistry for trouble, right? But you guys make it work. I mean,
only if it starts with Real Housewives up.
The talk is totally different.
This is CBS North Carolina breaking news.
Breaking news as the Confederate controversy reaches new heights. But what sparked protesters to march through Durham, shutting down streets with tactical officers on standby? CBS North Carolina's Carly Griffith has been in the middle of the controlled chaos all day. And Carly, get us up to speed with where we're at now. And police did warn just a few minutes ago that they will arrest them if they do not move out of the way. So it's interesting they are staying in the streets. We've had days of different protests happening. And again, this started about noontime, where there was word on social media that the KKK may be coming downtown Durham. And that's when people started gathering. And it was actually a very peaceful protest at that time, where people were dancing around, uniting. And now we see this confrontation here that is happening, where the police are in their riot gear in the middle of the streets in downtown Durham, telling these people they will be arrested if they do not move. We also have Charles Malloy, another photojournalist down there. They're in the streets walking backwards with these officers as they're telling the protesters move backwards. Looking at the video now that we are focused here on the protesters on this side, it looks like they are peacefully walking away. So let's hope this is what's going to continue to happen from now on. I'm not hearing the chants right now, Derek. Have they stopped saying move? Derek, we see the police there in their riot gear. Are you seeing other police standing around maybe on the other side or behind the protesters? And have you seen anyone that's been arrested? Because they were saying they will be arrested if they don't move from that area. Can we see some of the protesters again? Again, we're seeing a lot of the police officers. Can we kind of pan around and see if maybe they have dispersed? And these protesters that clearly wanted to be heard. We heard a lot of chanting taking place, a lot of people saying that they want racial integration happening. It looks like now it's quiet down, so maybe they're feeling their voices have been heard. Good evening, Mayor Bell. How are you?
I'm doing okay. How are you doing?
Well, thank you for joining us this evening. We're seeing here how things escalated throughout the day in downtown Durham. Are you surprised by what we're seeing right now? Mayor Bell, please stay on the phone with us just a moment. We're looking here at the police who are in the riot gear. It looks like they are starting to walk away now. They are no longer in that straight line. George, I don't know if you can turn around. Derek, could you please show us maybe what the protesters are doing at this time? Are they walking the other direction as well? Carly, the young lady you just spoke with mentioned that several people have already been arrested. Have you seen that? You're not seeing it here if you're just joining us. Earlier, there were police out there in riot gear with their batons and their guns, telling people to move back, move back. Now, we are told they're over here at this intersection, but they still want to march back to the police department. So naturally, I'm sure the police are going to be waiting over on that side. So if they do that, we may see that presence once again. Carly, I'm not sure who your photojournalist is with you right now, but if he can pan over to the side so we can kind of get an idea of how many protesters are there. As you are seeing, it looks like it is growing in numbers. Who are they? Are they a part of a particular group? Have they come together? Are these total strangers, or are they from a particular organization? All right, again, this is all happening in downtown Durham. You're watching continuing coverage of CBS North Carolina News at 6. We'll continue to stay with you right here in Durham and see what's happening in case it does escalate. Again, just a few moments ago, as they were walking, protesters and demonstrators are walking around the corner, they were saying they were going to walk to the police department. Again, we have not seen that happening, so we'll just wait and see. But now we do have confirmation that one person has been arrested for failure to disperse. Again, we have seen things change so quickly from very quiet and peaceful to a very tense moment. So we want to make sure that we're all in the clear here. We want you, the viewer, to know what is happening where you live. If you're downtown Durham or you're planning on going in that area, right now it's seeming like it is very peaceful. Again, if you were just joining us, if you did not know what has transpired throughout the day and you're saying, well, what is going on, March in Durham? I'm not seeing a march right now. No, you're not, but you are seeing police in riot gear. Again, it all started with what supposedly was rumors that the KKK and possibly other white supremacist group may be marching downtown Durham. Well, you mentioned a very long, hot day, too. And when you have demonstrators out there, they're out there with a purpose. They want to be heard. They want their chants to be heard. They want to resonate with what they want. And when you have the police out there in their riot gear, you know, they're there to control the peace. But again, that sometimes makes the situations escalate a little bit more.
Well,
and so that's when we started hearing some of the obscenities that were occurring when they were saying move back, and you have a baton and someone with a gun. That's when sometimes, you know, people take that and it does escalate.
That sort of encapsulated everything that we've been hearing throughout the day from a lot of protesters.
It was a passion that came out here. They were demonstrating their freedom of speech. Again, one person was arrested for failure to disperse. But other than that, it was a fairly peaceful demonstration that was taking place today. They wanted to be heard, and it sounds like they were heard. And of course, we will be here throughout the night if anything transpires. News can be found anytime online at WNCN.com. Also on our mobile news app. Just search WNCN. Thank you for joining us for continuing coverage this evening. And the families continue to struggle with the loss of their children. I sat down with the mothers of Dia, Yusur, and Razan to discuss what life is like 1 year later.
It's an image we'll never forget.
Tell me how my son is. What's his situation?
Nami Barakat begging for answers from police after learning of a shooting at his son's apartment in Chapel Hill.
If he's dead, tell me he's dead. If he's alive, tell me he's alive.
Hours later, it was confirmed his son, 23-year-old Dia Barakat, his newlywed wife, 21-year-old Yusur Muhammad, and her sister, 19-year-old Razan Muhammad Abu Salha, were murdered by their neighbor, Craig Hicks. Execution stopped. 3 nights after the shootings, I interviewed both fathers.
As a mother, I have to ask this. How are your wives doing?
They're taking it very, very tough. It's very hard on them.
They're heartbroken. I can tell Amira is hardly having any sleep.
Nearly 1 year later, I asked the mothers, Amira Bamia and Leila Barakat, the same question.
We're still healing. Hopefully we will, with time, will feel much better. Something big is missing from my life and my home.
Barakat says it's becoming more difficult as time goes on.
Because you feel their absence more. It's harder, it's not getting easier.
Yusur and Razan's bedrooms at their parents' home, the way they left them.
This one was gift from Dia. He went with a friend to Florida.
Nice.
So he got this one.
Aww.
Bamia proudly showing me their many medals.
And the basketball, you said she played basketball.
Yeah, really. Yeah, she loves basketball.
And Razan's artistic talents. She wanted to be an architect.
That's great.
It is. Very good work. Very good work, yeah.
Bamia says every morning she still stops by their rooms and says good morning to her girls, nicknamed Zizi and Susu.
I come to their room and hug their pillows and it's tough to live without them, but this is God's wish and we accepted it.
Bamia says she feels their presence and that gives her peace. Barakat agrees.
I'm living with them. It's not only when I go to his room. I feel three of them are with me wherever I go.
Bamia says in the days leading up to the shootings, her daughter Yusur expressed concern about Hicks. Bamia witnessed one of the encounters.
I noticed that he was talking with her and he was nervous and his voice was loud. And she came back to me. I told her, what's wrong? She told me, this neighbor, this is the second time he gave me a hard time. So immediately I told her, let me talk to him and see what's the problem. She said, no, please, Mom, don't talk to him. He's my neighbor, and with time, he will know us, he will know me and Dia, and hopefully will become like real neighbor, a close neighbor.
Never in your wildest dreams would you ever think it would escalate to something like
Exactly. I don't know why he just went to their apartment and with his gun and did what he did. There is no cause unless if he planned it. That's what I'm thinking. He planned it. This is something that he planned. I believe it's because they are Muslim.
If you could talk to Mr. Hicks, what would you say to him?
He shot Dia again. Why did he shoot him again? He was helpless. You did so many, like 6 bullets already in his body. And that second one is the killer. Killed me. Because I realized he is the last. He saw it all. He heard it all. He lived it all. He lived the horror. And why is that? I want to ask him why.
But their legacy is alive and everywhere. So Hicks will be sorry for all the rest of his life. They were kind, gentle, smart kids.
Loving, forgiving.
Exactly. They like to help others. Yusur, my sweet Yusur, with her curly hair and bright eyes. And then also very pretty young lady with beautiful black hair and beautiful black eyes. I love her. She's my Snow White. That's sorry that when I saw her in the coffin, she always looked like Snow White, white, and she was smiling.
Yusur, you're my best friend, you're my role model, you're my favorite sister.
For a few moments, we put the tragedy and tears behind us. 3 moms sitting together, laughing. We look through pictures and videos as they reminisced about the good times and the memories that will forever live on.
Such strong women, and they say their faith keeps them strong and they believe their children are at peace. They also told me they don't want revenge, they just want justice. The oldest of 3 siblings, Martha Watkins, grew up in Pennsylvania.
My sister and I became very close.
I spoke with her sister Heidi Wetlaufer via Skype.
She was very creative, very bright.
Martha became a nurse, married, and actively volunteered at soup kitchens and animal shelters. Then, shortly after her divorce, in her 20s, diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia.
It was very, very, very hard. In her late 30s, early 40s, her illness seemed to take a turn that it's hard to describe, but it became intractable.
Do you know how she ended up coming to North Carolina and why? Was it for a job?
It wasn't for a job.
Heidi lost communication. Years went by. Martha became homeless. July 28, 2009, 54-year-old Martha was discovered face down outside a Sacred Heart Church in downtown Raleigh, murdered.
A detective called my brother, and then my brother called me. It was violent.
She had been hit in the head. She was bleeding. There was blood on the ground.
I requested the autopsy report. Cause of death, blunt force head trauma, a broken nose, extensive bruising, and rib fractures. In Martha's pocket, a bus ticket. We recovered this video. It shows Martha getting on a city bus at Crabtree Valley Mall at 10:28 p.m.
She was riding by herself. No one spoke to her. She just kind of sat there and minded her own business.
She got off that bus at 11:02 p.m. at the stop right here on the southwest corner of West Morgan and McDowell Street, 1 block south of Sacred Heart Church. As the bus pulls away, she crosses over Morgan Street, heading north towards the church where she was found. What happens between the hours of 11:02 p.m. and 7 a.m. remains a mystery. So a worker came here in the morning and she saw the body.
Yes, thought she was just asleep on the sidewalk.
And she called the police.
Called the police.
Okay.
I went through files spanning 8 years. Previous detectives drew detailed maps of the crime scene, talked to acquaintances, and people who rode the bus that night with Martha. No one knew anything. Missing from the crime scene, Martha's shoes and bright orange purse you see her holding while on the bus. This reward poster and flyer circulated. Neither belongings recovered. I did more digging and found a blogger who knew Martha while homeless in Raleigh.
People would line up along here, and we would have tables with like sausage and biscuits.
Pastor Hugh Hollowell served free breakfast weekend mornings in Moore Square.
Some days she would be cheerful and talkative, and some days she would be withdrawn and in her own head. She had been gone most of the spring of 2009 and had only shown up a couple of weeks before she died.
In your conversations with her, she never mentioned anyone who might want to harm her or anyone who she was afraid of?
No, not at all.
No one was able to be like, oh, you know who would do this? This person. And so, we're just kind of stuck.
An ongoing case that a family hopes will one day go from cold to closed.
She was a good soul. To have something like this happen to her at the end of her life, it's unimaginable.
North Carolina News at 11 starts now.
Right now at 11, the showdown continues at Duke University. Good evening, I'm Sharon Tazewell. And there's new information tonight about the man police say killed his wife and 2-year-old daughter in Raleigh. It happened on Farm Gate Road. CBS North Carolina's Amy Cutler has the latest. Today, a judge denied bond for the man accused of killing 3 people at a home in Lewisburg. Darius Robinson showed little emotion during the hearing, only speaking when he answered yes, ma'am, to the judge. Robinson's accused of shooting and killing his cousin-in-law, Dee Egerton, as well as Shamar Harris and Keisha Livingston in late March. CBS North Carolina spoke to families of both sides after the hearing. New at 11, the final 2 candidates for Durham Police Chief answered questions from the public tonight. Now the big topics, body cameras and racial bias. CBS North Carolina's Michael Highland has more on what they want to see change. Now to a developing story in Johnston County. Parents came together tonight to discuss the mold situation at the Smithfield-Selma High School fieldhouse. There is mounting pressure tonight to repeal House Bill 2. PNC Bank is just the latest company to come out against House Bill 2. And the company issued a statement today saying, in part, we embrace and promote the tenets of diversity and inclusion throughout our workplace because we believe our company and our customers benefit from the consideration of diverse viewpoints and experiences. And coming up tomorrow, tomorrow. The Durham City Council is expected to vote on whether to oppose the controversial law. That meeting is scheduled for 1 o'clock.
It's a story we just love to tell. A teenager who recently got a new heart walked out of the hospital today.
Next at 11, I was there for the emotional moment. We'll have more on Al J's road to recovery. So wonderful. Albert Jeffries, nicknamed Al J, spent 127 days in the hospital, and I was there for the happy release.
There he is, Al J, with a new heart. He had a heart transplant less than a month ago, and today he went home.
I'm going to enjoy life when I go home. That's what I'm going to do.
Al J wearing a mask just in case. His mom, Tina Turner, ecstatic to take her miracle child home.
I'm excited. Finally. It's amazing. 127 days and we're done. We're going home. Hallelujah. We're going home.
But getting to this point was not an easy one. Al J was born with a heart disease, and he spent much of his young life in and out of hospitals. The morning of March 9th, Tina told me Al J was so weak and said he didn't think he could go on much longer. That day, she got this call.
Oh, my God.
You can cry if you want to. Sweetheart, go ahead.
You don't understand. This is wonderful. Oh, my God, Jesus.
A heart. Al J was getting a heart. Here's his reaction when she told him.
I'm nervous. No, LJ, your heart is here. It's a good heart. Listen. I'm nervous. Don't be nervous. You're going to get a new heart. LJ, you're going to live, baby. You're going to live. What's going on?
The surgery was a success, but he remained in intensive care longer than expected. His kidneys so badly damaged from his old heart that they were having a hard time recognizing each other. But Al J fought and won.
When I ride my bike, I get tired when I move my legs. But I know that's going to change now, and I'm going to get better. I'm going to be able to ride that bike and run up the hill.
Riding a bike, something that used to be a challenge for him. One of his doctors, Dr. Scott Buck, says Al J has had a remarkable recovery.
We think he has a whole life ahead of him now, whereas before it could be counted in weeks or months.
His heart's so strong, Al J says he's still getting used to it.
I didn't hear it, but I do feel it. I felt it.
It's a strong heartbeat, huh?
Yeah, it's strong.
I spoke with his mom this evening, and he is doing great. They look forward to one day meeting his donors' family members. And as for treatments, Al J will only have routine doctor visits. Dr. Scott says he's still building up his strength, but should be able to ride his bike and run on the beach in no time. Scary moments this afternoon in Baltimore when a school bus carrying children overturned. 42 people were on board. The driver and 9 students were taken to a hospital. Police say it appears the bus driver may have lost control and struck a utility pole. The crash remains under investigation. Meanwhile, a school bus driver is hailed a hero after a bus caught fire this morning on Long Island. Cell phone video captured the flames. The driver saw smoke and pulled over immediately. Everyone made it off safely.
A lot of changes still over the next 7 days, even though everything we've had so far this week.
Yeah,
up and down.
Yeah, and that 29 on there, come on.
I didn't like it this morning. I'm not going to like it Sunday morning.
Yeah, no, so it's not a typo, huh?
Unfortunately.